If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Thanks for checking in. Busy hour coming up. In 15 minutes, we'll dive into the playoff schedule that we have for tonight, NBA and the NHL. Bottom of the hour, Adam Chernoff on the program. His likes, dislikes from the NFL schedule, observations, things to write down and maybe make note of when you're making bets this year. And here we begin with best bets in soccer as the Meat Man Steve Wyss joins the program now. You can follow him on X. He is at Meat Man Soccer with the Nordic Football Pod and Because We Win, and he is on the Progressive Guest line. Steve, good afternoon. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Mitch and Pauly, doing really well, thank you. Great to be on the show and looking forward to hopefully getting some winners here.
Very good. Okay, let's begin in the Prim over the weekend as Leicester takes on Ipswich here. How do you want to attack this game from a betting standpoint?
Yeah, I like the over goals here. 2.75 on the Asian line. For those who can't access that, then just take it straight over 2.5 goals. This is going to be a championship fixture next season. Both teams have been relegated. They're not very good, but the good thing about it when they face each other now is I think they're both going to quite fancy the win. Maybe lay down a bit of a marker for next season, give them a mental edge. And I think there'll be goals in the game. I mentioned Jamie Vardy before, Leicester legend. This now will be his last home game in front of his adoring fans. So you might want to get Jamie Vardy on side as well, in anytime goal scorer, maybe even to score 2 goals or more. But the point is he's going to be really fired up. So, there's 2 good strikers here, Vardy and Delap, who are very capable of scoring against these poor defences. So the 2.75 goal line, remember at this stage of a soccer season in any league, the goals average per game goes significantly up. So I thought we'd get an Asian line of about 3 here. So I think we're getting definitely at least a quarter of a line value, even money as well. I think the match certainly goes over 2.5. Hopefully, that would be a half winner on this 2.75 goal line, but this could go way over the goal line. And watch out for Vardy and Delap to score any time as well.
Okay, let me run some numbers here that I'm seeing on Vardy right now. Again, first sportsbook I'm looking at, as you brought up his name, is plus 175 anytime goal, a good enough number for you?
Oh, easily. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be really fired up here. I mentioned him to be carded in a game recently as well. That's another option here because that shirt will definitely come off if he scores in his last game.
Okay. How about plus 950 for 2 goals or 70-1 for the hat trick?
I think maybe the hat trick's pushing it a bit too far, but 2 goals is definitely within his wheelhouse. He will be substituted off probably around about the 80th or 85th minute for a standing ovation. He'll have his moment. And I think Leicester probably will actually win the game, but you could see something stupid like a 2-2 draw here.
Did you say first goal of the match? Because that cashed last time when Nigel said he would score and he got the first one. That was plus 450.
It's 5-1 this game. This match.
That's not bad. And that's what happened in the last one. Excellent. These are Sunday now, and this is the early one at 7 a.m. Eastern. Everton and Southampton. Tough one there. I know I was with you as well. I thought Man City would bury them. Southampton parked the bus. Man City was livid. Like they didn't even try to score. They were calling them out, but they avoided having the worst season in Premier League history as they got the 0-0 draw. Now they're taking on Everton. Does Everton pound them here?
Southampton celebrated the 0-0 draw like they won the Soccer World Cup.
Yes, I know.
It was ridiculous. One of the worst teams ever.
Yeah.
And they're celebrating like they won the World Cup. Well done to Southampton. They got the 0-0 and it cost me badly. I hope Everton absolutely muller them here, as we might say, in England. And I think Everton get the win, certainly, and I think they would get quite a big win. This is another really emotional game. This is the last ever match that the Everton men's team is going to be playing at Goodison Park, their home stadium. It's 133 years old, is this stadium. They're moving to a brand new stadium right on the Docklands near the in Liverpool, and it's a great-looking stadium, I must say. I'm excited to see them in it next season. But the fans are going to be so emotional. whole team is going to be fired up incredibly. I don't think Southampton have got any chance against this sort of motivation. They've just avoided being the officially the worst ever team in Premier League history. They've got the 12 points. So I don't think they'll really care now too much. This is all about Everton. It's all about them. They've got to win their last match at Goodison Park. It just will not go down well with the fans, especially considering who they're playing against. So I'm going to take them. Minus 1.25 on the Asian handicap. This is at minus 110. We do get some security. If they only win by a 1-goal margin, we're losing half our stake. But like I said, I think this could be quite a big Everton win. Really emotional occasion. They're going to be so fired up, and I think they get the job done comfortably. Let's remember, this is still a very, very, very poor Southampton team, boys.
Yes, the Meat Man's our guest. Follow the money, Pauly and Mitch Vyss in the Sports Betting Network. It's on the Progressive Guest Line at Meat Man Soccer on X because we win pod. The late match is Arsenal and Newcastle. Big one here. Second place, third place. Can Newcastle jump up? And they've had a great season. How do you see Arsenal against Newcastle?
I think Newcastle on the draw double chance is a really good bet here. Like it said on the graphic there, to win or draw. That's something they've managed to do in all 3 meetings this season. Twice in the EFL Cup and once in the league as well. In fact, Arsenal haven't even scored a single goal against Newcastle in the 3 meetings this season. So I think it's suddenly become a really difficult head-to-head matchup for Arsenal. And Arsenal just have really struggled in recent weeks. They did have a good run to the Champions League semi-final. They got knocked out of that, and I think they're certainly feeling a bit delicate about themselves. They've only won one of their last 6 Premier League games. That was against Ipswich away, which almost doesn't count because Ipswich are terrible. They're conceding goals. That was the only clean sheet they've had in 7 games as well. So, I mean, if you look at the league table, thankfully for Arsenal, they've got Southampton at home the last game of the season. Or away from home, actually, sorry. And that's going to be a win if they need to get the win. So it doesn't really matter if they get the win here or not. A draw would be a good result for Arsenal. Make sure it will cement their second place in the table. And I think Newcastle will be fired up. There's actually been a bit of a rivalry now between these 2 teams when they face each other. A bit of needle, as we say here. And, this defence of Newcastle seems to match up really well against an Arsenal attack, which just does lack goals. Arsenal Football Club need to buy a world-class striker this summer. Otherwise, they're going to keep not winning trophies. I think this will be quite a low-scoring game. A draw is very likely. So Newcastle are massively overpriced on the draw double chance market here, minus 110. They can at least avoid defeat.
Okay, and Saturday, this is the championship, the FA Cup. City against Crystal Palace. Man City, $1.25 in that range. Total of 2.5. Explain the unique way you want to bet this.
Yeah, it's the same bet as the Newcastle bet there. This is the double chance market on Crystal Palace. You've got even money on this. It's basically for them to win or draw in 90 minutes. This is not a bet on them to win the FA Cup or to lift the trophy. It's just in 90 minutes for them to avoid defeat, because I think Manchester City are around about, I mean, I've seen them as short as minus 150 in some places, just to win in 90 minutes. And I think that's just a little bit disrespectful for this Crystal Palace team, who the manager has an exceptional record in cup competitions. He's won the Europa League before for a team in Germany. He's won the German Cup before. He targets cups. He's one of the best single game managers in soccer, I would say, in Europe these days. Oliver Glasner for Crystal Palace. So in a one-off game, Crystal Palace are very, very capable of doing a job on Man City. Palace have been playing excellent soccer recently, and they've got some talent. Eberechi Eze, Englishman, playmaker. I think he is one of the brightest young talents in the game at the minute. But Palace, I like the momentum they've got. They're unbeaten in 5 games in all competitions. They've been playing well. Yeah, Manchester City have been improving recently, but I still think there's some gremlins. Look at that 0-0 last week.
Yep.
You can't beat Southampton away.
Yeah.
You've got problems still. You do. They only scored a 1-0 win against Wolves. They're vulnerable here. Crystal Palace can get the result. All
right. Great job, my friend. Good luck. We'll talk to you next week for the final edition of the Premier League on Sunday. Thank you.
It's going to be exciting. I might have a wild play or two for you for the final round. So take care, boys.
All right.
That was awesome as always, Meat Man. Thank you.
All right. PGA Championship. Cam Davis, your leader, 6 under.
Yeah.
Gerard, 5 under.
Gerard got to 7, by the way.
Are you kidding?
And he gave 2 holes back on 17 and 18.
An hour before the show, this was the worst leaderboard I've ever seen. It's like you had to go down 20, 25 guys before you finally someone like a Fleetwood or an Adam Scott or somebody like that. I was throwing out Scheffler, but now things have flipped here a little bit, and Scott is playing well. Adam Scott is now tied for third, but it was just littered with guys like Smalley, Fox, Donald. I mean, it's all these guys you get off my leaderboard.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the get off the leaderboard guy, but
can I give you some big names who are not doing well?
Why? How about Koepka? I mean, did you see what he did out of the gates?
Well,
I look up, he's 5 over.
Yeah. So he finished, I think, 4 for the day.
Bill was terrible.
Let's see here. Catley, 3 under. 3 over. He is finished for the day. Rory, 3 over. Horrible round for him. Spieth is 3 over. He is through 12 right now. You have Russell Henley, 4 over through 10. Horrible day. That's, missed the cut territory. Neiman is at 4 over for the day, and Justin Thomas through 13, also 4 over for the day. Those are some huge names that are, they're going to have a great day tomorrow to avoid even missing the cut yet. And you said Mickelson, he finished at 8 over today. So.
Wow. Well, then you had the bonkers scenario. Was it 16? Scheffler, Schauffele, and McIlroy all at double bogeys?
Yeah. Yep. Well, the way I think it closes this course, it's exceedingly difficult down the stretch on the back 9. And that's where, when it's looking good for a guy, and, we'll see what Davis is going to finish here, but he's at 6 under through 15 and on pace to be the first round leader, but he's got a couple of really difficult holes coming up as we speak. So will Adam Scott. I love betting the first round leader market, man. It's so much fun. I had Jaeger bombs today. He got to 5 under. He was the solo leader at one point with 3 holes to go.
Yep.
Bit him in the ass, though, late, and I had him at 125 to 1. That's something. Just circle that guy, because you can bet first round top 5 and top 10 at books. Jaeger's there like every week.
That way.
We'll get into the NBA and the NHL playoff schedule, props that we're looking at for tonight next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
So 3 games in the playoff schedule tonight. NBA, Thunder at the Nuggets. Game 6, Denver has to have it. Right before we popped on an hour and 15 minutes ago, here at Circa, the Thunder were down to a 4-point favorite. No longer the case. Circa has 5.5 on this game. Other sports books across Las Vegas, mostly they have 5. National books out here, DK's at 5.5. Caesars at 5, FanDuel at 5, BetMGM's at 5.5 for the game as well. And I think the reason, obviously, Pauly, that it went up around that same time when it was 4 to 5.5 is when that report came out that Jamal Murray, the second best player for Denver, is questionable all of a sudden with an illness. Does that mean like food poisoning from last night? Is it going to be an MGA game? Does he go out there and give it his all anyway, the old college try?
Well, yeah, that's a fair point. You just don't dismiss a guy because he has the flu. You've seen a lot of guys who have had great performances. How many guys do you trust tonight? Because considering it's been low scoring and wrestling matches in Denver, and guys haven't been able to knock down shots, outside of the 2 superstars and the MVP candidates, how many guys? Gordon, Murray, and then give me your list about these guys can go off, this guy can carry his team to a win tonight or have a big reason why they do so.
I trust Christian Brown.
Okay.
I think he'd have a nice game overall. Now, what does that mean? Is he going to score 19 points? Not necessarily, but he can have like 12 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and be a hustle guy over 40-plus minutes in the game. I do trust Gordon. Dare I say I trust Westbrook, although it hasn't been great for him the last 3 games.
Oh, wow, that's aggressive. Ooh,
if Murray doesn't play, I trust the guy.
Yeah.
But you can't forget about that stretch against the Clippers that he had.
Yeah.
He was so good.
I am going current form, yeah. Porter, no way, even though the game's at home. No way. And the home road splits for Dort have been big. Dort has the most threes in the series. But
does he really?
They're going to leave him wide open. Remember, one of the games he was benched because they're leaving him wide open. He couldn't make a shot.
Right.
But then he's hit a couple big threes too. So he is the favorite to have the most threes tonight. And that's going to be big. And we talked about that crazy. Will he have an assist tonight? Yes is minus $1.70. It's like you think you'd get one by accident. Maybe Caruso can knock down some big shots. But
I like Caruso.
Wallace saved him in one of the games. Caruso's had some big threes, but it's been. I will give him credit. Daigneault does trust the roster and the experience, not the experience, the depth
overall.
and putting these guys out there, even though they're down double digits in the fourth quarter. He'll ride with these guys, and it's worked.
You know who I really like on the bench for OKC is Kaysen Wallace.
I don't mind him either.
I think he can be a ball player in a couple of years.
In a game like this, you can get an unsung hero. Who knows? Maybe OKC blows him out, but I don't have much confidence in him considering how this has gone since Game 3 against Memphis.
Are you expecting?
I've only seen their A game once, and they've only covered one in the last 7. What's that?
Are you expecting SGA to go off and have 30-plus points in this game tonight?
No, I've been disappointed in his play.
I also think the game's going to go under. So 217.5 was a play at that point. Now it's 216, 215.5 at some spots. But again, those are super high expectations. And after the first 2 games went over, and by the way, they flew over the total, it is, ratcheted back big time to the under the last 3 games, games 3, 4, and 5. And so I would that's typical for an NBA playoff series. As these teams are more familiar over the course and they're playing every other day, you have a tendency to go down like that, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring grinder tonight. I mean, if Murray's not going to be affected or impacted by the illness, I like the 5.5 with Denver as well. I think it's tough to expect OKC to go on the road against this team, a team, by the way, in which they have struggled against a lot of this series other than Game 2, and to expect them to win by 6 points or to bury them.
It has been a struggle.
Denver was the better team on the road in Game 5 for 2/3 of the game, 70% of the game.
You shouldn't be down 12 at home in a Game 5 late third quarter. This is not that. It's not a great Denver team. They have no depth either.
They have zero.
Come on.
But
these guys have hit the wall. You got to take advantage of that. You have the depth. They don't.
That's why I kind of expect. I think I trust Westbrook tonight more than I trust Porter.
Yeah. Okay. And how far down the list is Holmgren? This guy's got to do something, too.
I'll tell you, the other guy, the signing that I loved in the offseason, he impresses me every time I watch him play. That goes back to last year with the Knicks. I like Hartenstein a lot. I can trust him to have a good game.
Yeah, the little floater usually makes that.
Yep. But I don't want Chet taking threes.
No, I don't either.
I just don't.
No. What do you think? Let's say OKC wins, and it's ugly, and it's by 4 points. What do you think with the look ahead against Minnesota now? I think Minnesota's got an excellent chance the way they're playing.
I think Minnesota can take one of the first 2 games in Oklahoma City, yeah.
In the way Randall's playing, yes.
I'm holding Minnesota 40-1 to win the West, and I don't really feel like laying 250 with the Thunder on a hedge.
That's not a bad angle. I think Minnesota could get one on the road to start as well.
I need that to happen,
That's right, yeah. Send them in, too. Pizzeria tomorrow, tip jar. Send them in. Pacers, T-Wolves, all the big tickets you have, and we'll put you on tomorrow. Looking forward to that. It's been too long.
Yeah. How are you betting the 2 hockey games tonight here?
Chalk, yeah. I got...
Go both chalk?
Well, in terms of chalk, when I mean Dallas, but certainly it's all been Carolina here in this series. Logan Thompson stole 1 game. He let in some softies in the last game. It's just a complete mismatch here. And as I referenced earlier, the difference in the shots and the shot attempts 329 to 177, and the Capitals shots on goal going back 14-21, 21-21. Again, there's been 1 goal scored in the first period in the entire series. So first period under. Anderson saves under, which is also 4-0 in the series. And Washington hasn't done much 5-on-5. And if Carolina stays out of the box, even though they have number 1 penalty kill, Washington's only has a couple power plays. But I thought Game 2 was a fluke. You had a silly turnover that led to a breakaway goal. They had a beautiful goal on the power play, and then they got the empty net. So Thompson's going to have to stand on his head, or Anderson has a bad game. And I just don't think that's going to happen.
So I'll move ahead to tomorrow and tie it into tonight's games because you can't wait. You're loving the idea of betting Florida in regulation against Toronto. Would you consider betting either of these teams tonight in regulation? Or is that too dicey of a proposition?
Well, I think if a team wins, because tinfoil hat guy, we're not going to have sports this weekend. All these series are going to get closed out, right? Knicks Game 7 would be Monday. I think the one team that could win, though, is Winnipeg. They've only lost once at home. Hellebuck's a different goalie at home, and the season's on the line. And they actually played a better game in Dallas. They lost 3-1, which then you gave up the 2-on-1 and what happened with the guy of the hat trick.
Sure.
But yeah, Carolina in regulation, and tomorrow Florida in regulation. That's just Stolarz is still out. He won't be there. Wall was bad. The whole team stunk. I like Berube, but this is just, they blew it. They know it. They knew they blew their chance. They're going to go up 3-0. They have a 3-1 lead. They're going to lead the series 3-0. Okay, bad job defensively. We blew it. Then you come back and you can't even score. And then you got humiliated at home and lost 6-1. It's a joke.
How does that happen last night?
I have no idea.
I mean, my God.
What's Matthews doing? Where are these guys?
They disappear.
They do. They
completely disappear.
Yeah.
So, and then the other one tomorrow night, Celtics at the Knicks. You think, Boston may have found something last night? Explain yourself here. Because I like the Celtics going into the game last night. I thought Brown would have a good game. And I thought, I bet on Pritchard to have a good game, and he did.
Yeah. Well, you thought White would go off, but not like that.
Well, come on. His numbers were so high already. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm okay with White and Pritchard taking all those threes. What was unexpected was what Horford and Holiday did. But because of the Porzingis thing, and Mazzulla said he couldn't even breathe, he's unplayable. And finally, it's like, you can't play the guy. He's so bad.
Right.
And then they found something here with Cornette, what he did. The blocks, the glass, what he did offensively. He changed things. And it was backwards what happened. Tied at the half, and then they run him out in the third quarter. So I like what they said on TNT. It should be 5-0 Celtics in the best of 7. But this is a tough game now, and all the pressure's on the Knicks. Celtics can come in on a free roll. They're 10-2 without Tatum. And I didn't like what I saw from the Knicks in the second half. Yeah, Brunson most points, though.
That'll change tomorrow night going back to the Garden.
Well, OG will never shoot like that again, right? He was terrible.
I don't think he'll be that awful again. He could have an off night, but yeah. I think it was one night Celtics could find some magic. And but I tell you this, though.
You think it was a fluke?
No, not at all. I expected that to happen last night. I bet on the Celtics to win the game and to cover the spread. I bet on Pritchard to have a good game, and he did. I thought that was a one-night thing. But if they happen to win Game 6, the Knicks aren't going to go to Boston and win Game 7.
I don't think so either.
That will not happen.
Yeah.
So the Knicks, I think, have to win the game tomorrow night.
I'll go Carolina in regulation. Anything you want to do, though. Take your pick. Carolina in regulation, first period under, Anderson saves under, whatever you want to do. Most credit card street sportsbooks and gaming transactions as cash advances. Get the G-Bank Visa signature card today. Even when you put your own money on the card, G-Bank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees on gaming transactions right there. And with G-Bank, you're earning 1% cash back rewards on eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions and 2% on eligible purchases. Apply now, VSiN.com/G-Bank. VSiN.com/G-Bank. Get it now, go.
Yeah, tomorrow night's going to be a really, really fun game to watch, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be amazing television.
Madhouse.
All right, we'll go over the NFL schedule with Adam Chernoff up next. He'll explain his winners and losers from last night. He loves this path for a team to be the 1 seed. Find out which team it is next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
NFL released their schedule last night. Big night on the sports calendar every single year. Now you can really start to dive into win totals, division bets. At least I wait till the schedule anyway. And we'll talk about it more with a good friend of the show, Adam Chernoff with Right Angle Sports and FootballBetters.com as he joins the Progressive Guest Line. Adam, good afternoon. Good to speak to you again. How's the offseason going?
Offseason been going great. Good to see you guys as well. You guys are looking good. Looking forward to chatting NFL for the first time in a few months here.
Okay, so we'll talk to you for the next half an hour. Let's begin in this segment with the winners after last night's schedule release. And as I teased before the break, the team that you think has the clearest path of any team to get the number 1 seed in either conference, who'd you really like after last night's schedule release?
100% the Buffalo Bills. Clearest path to the 1 seed, either conference, by a mile. You said it. I think it's even stronger than that. Like, you can double and triple down on this thought because the Bills get an absolute walk in the AFC relative to their opponents that they're going to be facing. It's a top 5 schedule for ease of difficulty overall. It's the easiest road schedule. And for this team, I mean, all of the hard games that they have are going to be played at home. And those yesterday drew really well. They have the rest of the offseason to prepare for Baltimore in week 1. And then the Chiefs and the Eagles and the Buccaneers and the Bengals are all in the second half of the season. And so the Bills are able to go on this early run where they have a lot of home games, a lot of easier opponents. They're able to stack up wins, get things figured out on both sides of the ball. Some of the defensive suspensions return. And then you have this strong home field advantage that's been one of the best in the league since Allen took over, where you're hosting all of these teams that are coming off of playing top 12 schedules for each of them in terms of difficulty. They're all in brutal divisions that are going to be beating each other up. And it just sets up so well for the Bills. They don't have 3-game road trips anywhere on the schedule. And even from a rest perspective, the one Monday Night Football appearance that they have is right before their bye week. So they don't even get caught with the short prep week as well. This is a dream for the Bills. And this is their best opportunity to win the AFC, to win the 1 seed, to lock up home field advantage. I certainly think they do.
It's also a dream for the 49ers, right? With this easy schedule that they face?
I mean, it's kind of a joke for San Francisco when you look at it. Honestly, they went from the 5th most difficult schedule last year to the easiest overall this year. Their top 5 easy road, top 5 easy home, any way you want to look at it. This sets up so well. And the rest disparity is kind of crazy too. When you think about what they dealt with last year, which was a net of -22 to this year's +9 for rest days. So they have a month extra rest last season to this season compared to their opponents, which is ridiculous. They don't face any opponents coming off of a bye all season, and 8 of their final 10 games in the schedule are against teams coming off of a road game. So everywhere you want to look at this 49ers schedule and every way that it shapes up, I mean, this is as easy as it gets for the 49ers. They're going to have a big offensive scheme shift as they really need to try to figure out how to beat man coverage after seeing a record high of it last year for a Shanahan season. Defensively, they're loaded up again with Robert Saleh, so you have to have pretty high expectations for the 49ers going into this season.
Yeah, no kidding. And the win total reflects that as well. I mean, their power rating is always super high. The win total there is at 10.5 with various juice at different books. The Patriots now, a lot of steam on this team, a lot of hype already after the schedule from last night. They're favored in 11 games this year already after they were not favored in a single game last year, and the win total is 8.5. But you really like the way things broke last night for New England.
Yeah, if you're a Pats fan, if you're a Pats player, if you're anyone on that coaching staff, I think you have to be thrilled. If we're thinking about this from a betting perspective, I would say there's 3 reasons why you want to bet on a Patriots over. Not necessarily advocating it for myself, but just putting myself in better shoes. One would be you're looking at Mike Vrabel and say, hey, he's turning this team around. It's going to be a big step up from Gerard Mayo. Number 2 would be the defense returns to form. It fell off last year without Belichick. Hey, maybe Vrabel can get it back up to a top 13, top 14 level in the league. And then you would hope that Drake May is going to take the leap in year 2. The way that the schedule broke for the Pats, I think, is ideal for all 3 of those. In the first 9 games, the only opponent that the Pats have that is currently rated above average in power ratings is the Buffalo Bills, and they play them a little bit later into October. I don't know how you want to classify Michael Penix. I got a little bit exaggerative in the newsletter and said, hey, look, if you want to say he's a new first-time starter, I know he started 3 games down the stretch last year, but if you put him in that category of the 9 quarterbacks that the Pats will face in the first 9 games, 6 of them can be classified as first-time starters. And the really difficult games beyond the Bills, Bucks, Bengals, Ravens, all of those are coming later in the year. So you're thinking about this from a Pats perspective, like what do you want to get going right with the team early? They're going to be able to figure all of that out against pretty manageable opponents. So it's not like they're getting thrown into a spot where they're really tested early. So it's a pretty great draw for the Pats overall.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned this earlier, that Miami's looking at a lot of cold weather games, and it could be as many as 4. You have a unique take on Arizona, considering young quarterbacks who they face early, and also that weather won't be a problem with Arizona.
Yeah, so I think one of my strongest offseason takes so far that as we preview teams over the weeks and months to come will become pretty apparent is I think Arizona is going to take a pretty big step forward this season. And I think the defense specifically is going to be a unit that takes a really big step forward. They nailed free agency. They nailed the draft. new D-line coach that everyone loves, new linebackers coach everybody loves. Last year, they played so hard. They're buying in for Jonathan Gannon and what he's doing. This year is where the leap forward takes place. And you think about all those new pieces up front in the secondary as well. Like, what an ideal way for the Cardinals to figure things out early. They start with very likely Tyler Shuck as a rookie. Then you have Bryce Young. Then it's Sam Darnold and a new offense behind a new O-line. Cam Ward is a rookie. I don't know who the Colts are going to trot out as quarterback. I mean, it's a really good start for the Cardinals to figure out this defense early. So, like, stock arrow up, both sides here for the Cardinals, offense and defense. But as you mentioned, cold weather games late in the season, that's a big deal. Obviously, Arizona plays all of their home games indoors, but the way that the schedule fell, Arizona is going to play four road games indoors, which is a big break for them. And then of the outdoor road games that Arizona gets, there's really only one that you can point to on the schedule that could have weather implications, that is cold weather, snow, bad conditions, and that would be Cincinnati in week 17. Otherwise, these other outdoor games, they fell at really good times within the schedule. So Arizona as a dome team indoors, going to be really comfortable all season long. So not only did they nail free agency in the draft, but man, Arizona, the way the schedule fell and the distribution of games, got it really well as a team overall.
Very good. Adam Chernoff, our guest here on the Progressive Guest Line. So for the first time in history, the Minnesota Vikings will play back-to-back international games in two different cities. You think that could be a good thing for the Vikes?
Two different cities, two different countries, although the flight time, like one of the things that I think is really overblown that we're seeing is the miles traveled by teams. I think it's one of the most overblown things we hear every time. The distance from Dublin to London from a flight is incredibly short. So it's not like it's going to be incredibly taxing on them like it's being labeled up to be with all this travel. Here's where it broke pretty well for Minnesota. Those two games against Pittsburgh and Cleveland, again, we're talking about Arizona being an indoor team and how favorable the draw was getting all these road games that are indoor games. When I was looking at Minnesota's schedule, they have a brutal home schedule, and they really needed things to break right for them on the road in order to get to a point where you're looking at 9+ wins to go over the win total. Well, you see these two games, not only are Pittsburgh and Cleveland removed from being late season games in bad weather for Minnesota to have to go outdoors and play, both of them now are going to be international games. So you remove home field advantage from both the Steelers and the Browns, which matters. But then I also start to wonder, are we looking at maybe the second game for Minnesota as being perhaps closer to a home game than a road game, with them not having to travel across the ocean with a longer flight, whereas the second opponent is going to have to? I think the answer is yes. So both of these were road games for Minnesota. Their schedule went from 8 home games, which were brutal, and 9 road games, which could have fell pretty poorly, to, I would say now at best, 8 home games, 7 road games, and 2 neutral. I think I could probably make the case it's closer to 9 home games, 7 away games, and 1 neutral. I think that's a pretty good draw for Minnesota with those 2 international games. Now, the rest of the first 8 weeks, it's going to be tough. All the NFC North teams have it pretty tough. But for me, Minnesota, with those 2 games and the opponents they got, it's a pretty good deal for them, I think. All
right, dynamite analysis on the Vikings there and a bunch of other teams. We'll continue here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, with Adam Chernoff. He's on the Progressive Guest Line with Right Angle Sports and FootballBetters.com. We will dive into Adam's schedule losers up next. The NFL was not too kind to the 2 Super Bowl participants from a year ago. Find out why next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue talking NFL schedule release, observations, and takeaways with a longtime friend of the show, Adam Chernoff, with Right Angle Sports and FootballBetters.com as well. He is on the Progressive Guest Line. So as much as you like the path for Buffalo in the first segment to get the 1 seed out of any team in the sport, and specifically the AFC. I think it's the exact opposite for the New York Giants. First of all, a bad football team going in. And you can expand on this, Adam. But my God almighty, the first 4 games at the Commanders, at the Cowboys, Chiefs on Sunday night, then the Chargers. And if you look at the overall schedule, it doesn't get much easier than that.
No, there's no weeks off anywhere. It's a joke. I get roasted for this take, and there's a Twitter thread that has like 100 replies of people just criticizing me. I think this is the perfect case, if I had to make one in court, for why the NFL needs to remove divisions, get rid of them. Then it's a hindrance to the schedule, because for a last place schedule that the Giants are drawing here, it makes no sense. And compare that to the Bills with a first place schedule, it makes no sense either. But there's no weeks off for the Giants. And as a team with so many questions, like, how secure is Dayball's job? Is he going to make it through the season if this goes as bad as it looks like it might? What happens with Wilson, Winston? Do we see Dart earlier than we expected? I have no idea what's going to happen with this team. I have no idea where the wins come from. I get the D-line is loaded, but is the D-line going to matter when you're facing 7, 14, 21-point deficits week after week against a murderer's row of schedule? This is as bad as it gets for the Giants.
Okay. Is Tennessee a close second then? Or close first?
I think so. Yeah. Well, if you had to hand pick a bad start for Cam Ward and this offense that's trying to figure things out, and a coach that's desperately trying to find answers, going on the road to play Denver, which has a legitimate chance of being the best defense we've seen in the last decade in the NFL. I mean, the best teams struggle going on the road to Denver. This is a nightmare start for Cam Ward, but it doesn't get easier after that. The Rams coming up were a top 10 defense last year. A very underrated Colts defense with Lou Anarumo taking over with all those veterans. Houston on the road in Houston, suffocating pass defense. We saw what they did in the playoffs. Revamped Arizona defense. We talked about last segment, on the road as well. Then it's a third road game again against Las Vegas and Max Crosby and that pass rush. I mean, it is a brutal start for Tennessee. Not quite as bad as the Giants. But, man, you think about this 3 road games in a row as well. 31% win rate for these teams facing 3 road games in a row since the schedule change. And Cam Ward has to deal with that, these other tough defenses. And we still don't know what the ceiling might even be with him. It's not like it was a slam dunk number 1 highly rated prospect. There were concerns about him up until later in March. So, I mean, this could be brutal for Tennessee to start as well.
Yeah, the schedule makers were unkind to the Eagles and the Chiefs, the 2 teams who played each other in the Super Bowl last year. Why do you think they did them no favors last night?
Believe it or not, the Eagles don't have back-to-back home games all season. I thought it was a typo initially as I'm looking at schedule grids. I'm going through it. I don't know if this has ever happened before. I looked around this morning. I couldn't find any data on it. But you look through the Eagles schedule, it goes home, road, home, road, home, road, home, road all season. There's back-to-back road games because in the back-to-back home spot, it's a bye week for the Eagles. But they don't have 2 straight home games in a row all season. So that's going to be a grind to deal with all year, considering the schedule and the difficulty they're going to face. The top 5 difficult schedule to begin with. The Chiefs, as everybody knows by now, they get the showcase standalone primetime treatment that went past rules I thought were established. I heard a podcast this morning with the VP of scheduling that seems to be kind of going against this 6-game maximum that these teams were for years forced into, because now you have Christmas and you have the international games and you have the expanded schedules, which allegedly don't apply to that old rule of 6 games. I mean, it's just kind of changing for the ratings and the different platforms and the subscriptions and everything that comes with it. Here's what I'll say. Washington's in the same boat as well. I think the expectations for Washington going through that schedule and how they have to go around with some of the rest disadvantages is a worse overall schedule, and they get the worst side of this showcase treatment than the Chiefs do. I think the Chiefs are better prepared for it. Where I think the Chiefs got the short end of things, and this might sound minor, but I think it stands out, is they have 3 road games in prime time out of the division. The Giants, the Jags, and the Cowboys. And again, those are 3 games where the Chiefs are going to be favored, have a very good chance to win. But when you look at every other team, especially these showcase teams that are getting 5 and 6 and 7 of these primetime and standalone spots, all of those games are either in division or matchups of two elite teams that are very good. The Chiefs, by virtue of getting these, have 3 of these easy winnable games essentially elevated, because you're going to get the biggest home field advantage for these teams and the biggest buy-in spot all season. We're already seeing ticket prices, sellouts, and prices go through the roof. I think that that's kind of an unfair draw for Kansas City. I know nobody wants to hear Kansas City and unfair in the same statement, but this is the new NFL, I guess, where it's just putting the best teams in as many games as possible.
Follow the money, Pauly and Mitch, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Adam Chernoff, our guest on the Progressive Guest Line. What do you think of some off-season moves that you like and why you're so high on the Denver defense?
Again, I think there's no team since 2015 has held opponents to 4.5 yards per play or fewer in a season. The last team to do it was the 2015 Broncos. The Broncos last year were number 2 in defense overall for the entire season on a per-play basis. They're not far off. If Greenlaw is healthy, which it looks like he is, paired with Hufanga, they re-sign Jones. Singleton will be back. And then they draft Barron, who will be cornerback number 2 opposite Surtain. This defense is absolutely loaded, and I think has potential to be a 4.5 yard per play team for the first time in a decade. I don't think Denver did anything wrong on defense all year. That is a stacked defense coming out of Denver. I love what they did this offseason.
Yeah. Anything else that you really, really loved overall in the offseason up until this point?
Yeah, I thought Pete and Chip in Las Vegas, I mean, if you have to be a Raiders fan, you're thrilled with what they did. The fact they didn't go rebuild, I know they're probably not going to win the division, and that's an unrealistic expectation, but just to sign Geno, to go with Genty first, to secure Crosby, just the fact that they're saying that they want to compete now and try to win, I think is a huge victory for Raiders fans and Raiders personnel. And then the Bears, I mean, buying into Ben Johnson's vision here and what he wants, O-line overhaul, wide receiver addition, tight end addition. They're going to be moving Caleb Williams under center to kind of open up the pass and the run game. I think everything that they did so far is fantastic. And again, I'll drop this out there, but think about 2017 with the Rams. They had Jared Goff in year 2, number 1 pick, who failed miserably under Jeff Fisher. It was the hot coordinator in Sean McVay who just turned around the Commanders. What did they do in the offseason? They got 3 offensive linemen added. With the first pick, they drafted a tight end. With the second pick, they drafted a wide receiver. They completely switched what Jared Goff does on offense. And all of a sudden, that offense with the hot coordinator hire went from 32nd to 7th in yards per play. It's almost kind of spooky how similar the parallels are to how Chicago's building this team in the offseason with Johnson to what McVay did to turn around that Rams franchise. That's getting hard to ignore for me. And I have no negatives about what the Bears have done this entire offseason.
That is a dynamite nugget to make note of. Any official season-long bets that you've made so far that you want to give out here?
I've got a couple. Bills, as you can tell, I'm very high on, right. Over 11.5 wins. Also have 8-1 Super Bowl as well as plus 750. Cardinals, as you know, very high on, over 8.5. That's at even money. And then the Colts, I think that defense is going to be way better than expected. Offense, a big question mark, but over 7.5 was one I played with them as well. So those are some early ones. A lot of futures and stuff that I'm looking at too. Jahdae Barron, defensive rookie of the year, 20-1 opposite Surtain. Sure. Should have plenty of opportunities for picks and plays on balls. So we've got a lot to talk about in the weeks to come. There'll be more, but those are a few that I have so far.
Very good. You can follow Adam on X. He's at Adam Chernoff, again, footballbetters.com and Right Angle Sports. That was awesome, man. Great catching up with you today. Thanks so much for the time.
Appreciate it, guys. Good to be chatting with you and chat again soon. Enjoy the spring and summer.
You too.
Thank you.
Let's do it. There you go. Adam Chernoff.
Thank you for Lioness as well. You recommended that.
He was the first one to tell you?
The last time he was on during the regular season. Smarter bets start here, last all year long with VSiN Pro. Annual subscription. Get it now. 14 months, just $199. Code PRO. 2 extra months free for less than 50 cents a day. You get all the PGA bets, the Mike Somich horse racing plays, the betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 live video, the Mackin and betting trends, every pick, every host, every guest, the morning email from Bill 80. Burke on all the sports as well. Daily baseball. VSiN.com/subscribe, code PRO. And the analyzer with all the props. VSiN.com/subscribe. What a deal. Get it now.
Time to get dirty. Roll up the sleeves. Dive in deep into the NHL playoffs tonight with Jonathan Davis next here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.